What is going on, everybody? My name is Manatui, and today I'm going to be going over my team for Week 8 of the PPL Division 2. If you guys don't know what the PPL is, or the PPL D2, please check out the description below. There will be a link to the PPL Twitter, as well as the YouTube, the Pokemon Premier League, that is. Also, there will be a link to my opponent's channel, which this week is Erik, Ashton Akai. This is someone who has previously played for the TBU, and someone who has taken over Carter because Carter had to drop out due to being too busy in the real world, which, you know, that's fine. So, Carter's original team has been changed a lot. Erik has made multiple changes, kind of shifting Carter's team from an offensive team to more of a bulky, kind of, not stally team, but more of a defensive team. So we are going to quickly go over what he can potentially bring. He still has the Mega Gardevoir, then he has the Mandibuzz, Rotom Heat, Roserade, Garchomp, Quagsire, Hitmonchan, and Chansey. Now, I am actually feeling like I do have a very good matchup against his team. However, Mandibuzz is going to be annoying to deal with. It can wall pretty much all my physical attackers. Excadrill cannot touch it. Excadrill, a Rock Slide doesn't really do that much to it. Mega Aerodactyl can't one-shot it and takes a lot of damage from Foul Play. So it can just be kind of an annoyance. Also, Rotom Heat can be an issue. Mega Gardevoir is something I can't really switch into too safely. And what else was I about to say? Oh, and the biggest threat on his team is the Roserade, because Roserade deals with pretty much everything. It can be revenge killed by a few of my things, but I don't really have a safe switch into it. It could be running Sleep Powder and put the one kind of safe switch in I have to sleep. It can just hit my entire team very hard, and I'm not entirely sure what it's going to run. If it's Scarfed, it'll outspeed my Mega Aerodactyl. If it's Life Orb, it's going to hit everything very hard. It has the coverage to hit my entire team super effectively for the most part. So this roster is actually something I'm very afraid of. Now, really quickly, I am going to go over my team. Well, maybe not really quickly. I'll talk as long as I want to, bitch. Anyway, my team. So, we're going to start off with Rick Ross to Hariyama. Not to be confused with Bob Ross, they're very similar. But, Hariyama, we are going back to Assault Vest this week. And we are running Close Combat for stab, as well as hitting pretty much everything hard, as well as the Chansey. Well, especially the Chansey as well. Knockoff. This is so that I can potentially knock off a Chansey Eviolite. I can knock off Quagsire's leftovers, whatever anything else is running. If he switches into Mandibuzz, that's going to be losing its leftovers, which is going to be very important. Ice Punch, that is to hit the Mandibuzz and the Garchomp, super effective. And Bullet Punch, this is just priority, that way I can hit the Mega Gardevoir before it can hit me. Because like I said, Mega Gardevoir is something I may not be able to have a switch into, and that's going to be very annoying. Now, there are a couple of good things about Hariyama outside of its move coverage and its stats and all that. Because it is slow, it is only running, well, it's this much speed, I'm going to be outslowing a Mandibuzz, meaning I can hit it with an Ice Punch, and then if he goes for Roost, I can go for Close Combat, and it will be taking a super effective Close Combat, especially if I'm status. That is going to be doing a ton of damage, and Mandibuzz is one of the few things stopping my Excadrill from running through his team, so that's going to be very important to me. Hariyama is extremely important as well, because this is my only kind of safe switch in to his Roserade. Now, it could be something like a Life Orb or Specs variant with Dazzling Gleam, and that'll 3KO me, but if it is Life Orb or Specs, then that means my Excadrill as well as my Alakazam and Aerodactyl will be able to outspeed it and revenge kill it, so that's very important. It's also a pretty safe switch into Quagsire, not that I kind of have a safer switch into Manaphy, but if I think he's going for a Scald, I can switch into Hariyama, try and get the burn on myself. It's a safe switch into Chansey as well, because Seismic Toss will be doing under 25%, and if he Toxics me or T-Waves me, he'll be giving me Guts. So this is a very big threat to his team. It kind of just comes in on a couple things and hits things very hard, so that's why I decided to add it to this team. Now, next up we're going to bring pretty much the mascot of the team, Manaphy. We are running a Combine Rain Dance Rest set this week. Originally, with Carter's original team, I was going to be running Tail Glow, but I decided that with the team he now has, this is a better option for me. He has too many bulky Pokemon that can kind of wear me down, and he has Chansey, which a regular Tail Glow variant can't really deal with, because it still does not do all that much damage to it. So real quick, Mandibuzz, it's going to be a safe switch into. I'll take nothing from Foul Play. If he Toxics me, I can Rain Dance it off. because I'm running Calm Mind, I can set up before the Rotom Heat comes in, and after +1, he will not be able to knock me out even with a Specs Thunderbolt. I can deal with the Garchomp very well. Unless he's like an SD variant, I can take hits from the Garchomp very easily. It's a very safe switch in a Quagsire because unless he's Water Absorbed for whatever reason, I beat it 100%. Hitmonchan is a safe switch into, and Chansey, same thing. If he T-Waves me or Toxics me, I can Rain Dance and get rid of my status. And because I am running max HP, he will not be able to 4-hit KO me with Seismic Toss. Seismic Toss does 50 HP each time, and Manaphy at level 50 hits 207. So I will be able to take multiple Seismic Toss and just set up all over it. The one thing stopping this is his Roserade. Again, figuring out what that Roserade set is going to be very important, but if I get rid of the Roserade, I pretty much set up on everything else other than the Rotom and the Gardevoir. Now, I'm just running 4 speed in case he decides to speed creep me with something, but it's not a huge deal. We're also running 0 attack, that way foul play from Mandibuzz is even less. This is just a very solid mon for his team. Again, as soon as I get rid of that Roserade, he is pretty much complete setup fodder to this. Now, next up, Erik's team is very slow, and in order to capitalize that, I am bringing my Mega Aerodactyl, not just because his team is slow and this is really fast, obviously, but with this much speed, I outspeed Garchomp before Mega Evolving, so I don't even have to risk not Mega Evolving prior, but we were running Adamant. Interesting set. Stone Edge, Ice Fang, Stealth Rock, and Taunt. Stone Edge is for stab as well as hitting the Mandibuzz, the Rotom Heat, as well as the Chansey as hard as I can, as well as the Mega Gardevoir, though I would like to run Iron Head, I don't really have to. Then we are running Ice Fang. This one-shots Roserade as long as it is not Yachi Berry. It will hit Garchomp extremely hard and will one-shot if it's not a bulky Garchomp, and yeah, that's pretty much all I have Ice Fang for, and this is the only real coverage I need. Like I said, I could run Iron Head for the Gardevoir, I could run Aerial Ace for the Hitmonchan, but I don't think he's even going to bring Hitmonchan because my team deals very well with it. Essentially, this is the set that hits his team the best while still allowing me to be a rocker, because I do like an offensive rocker versus his team. I can set up rocks versus some -2 Rotom Heat. I can set up rocks versus Hitmonchan, potentially. I can set up rocks versus Chansey, potentially, if I taunt it. Mandibuzz if it's weakened a bit. So Aerodactyl is going to be my rocker for this week. And I'm running Taunt. Taunt shuts down the Chansey. All he can do to me is Seismic Toss me. It can stop the Garchomp from potentially setting up rocks. From feeling ballsy, I can prevent the Quagsire from recovering. It's just a good move, especially for the Chansey. Primarily for the Chansey, it'll stop that thing from getting up rocks, it'll stop that thing from T-Waving me, Toxicking me, doing whatever that thing is going to do to me, and the ability to keep rocks off my side of the field is going to be pretty important because I want my Aerodactyl healthy. And a couple counts later on that I need rocks off for my Tangrowth. So that is going to be my Mega Aerodactyl. Pretty big mon. We're going kind of like a stall breaker set this week, but I'm kind of expecting it to do work. It generally does. Alright, so next up we are going to go with a very big offensive win condition, Excadrill. Now, I am running Toxic on this Scarf set and Rapid Spin, but again, as is the common theme with Excadrill, I only need these two moves to hit his entire team. Mega Gardevoir is knocked out by Iron Head and knocked out by Earthquake after Stealth Rocks. Mandibuzz I could run Rock Slide for, but I'm running Toxic because on the switch-in I'd rather have that thing poisoned than just worn down a little bit. I one-shot Rotom Heat. I do a ton of damage to Roserade. Garchomp, if he switches in directly, it will still take a decent amount of damage, and I will be able to determine what type of Garchomp set that is, which is also going to be very important because I need to know if that's Scarfed or bulky. Quagsire does not take too much damage, but again, it does not want to switch in on a Toxic. Hitmonchan does not want to switch in, and Chansey can switch in, but it doesn't really want to. Without the leftovers recovery, it'll be forced to go for its own recover, and as soon as this thing starts, as soon as Chansey starts killing his momentum, I go into my Manaphy and start setting up. Or I go right out into my Hariyama and immediately threaten him with a powerful hit. So this is my Excadrill set. Rapid Spin, of course, just to keep away hazards. This set here, Jolly with this much speed, What am I outspeeding? I kind of forget what I use this spread for. Just one. Oh, Rotom Heat, right. This allows me to outspeed a Timid Scarfed Rotom Heat, which is going to be important because Rotom Heat is actually a pretty big threat to my team. I don't have a safe switch into it other than Hariyama. So yeah, that is why I'm running Scarf on this, as well as this thing just kind of cleans up late game. If Mandibuzz is gone and Quagsire and GMC are weakened, I can just keep clicking EQ and he doesn't really have a super safe switch into it. So that is that. Next up, we are going to go with the one thing that can kind of switch in on Mega Gardevoir, and that is going to be my Assault Best Tangrowth. I'm just going to show a calc here. Modest Hyper Voice from Gardevoir. If he runs Modest, I don't think he will, but if he runs Modest, 44 to 52%. He only has a 27% chance to 2 KO me. Whereas if I show something, that's not where you change moves. If I do something like this, that's not the right move. Sorry, this is awkward. Poison Jab, 59 to 70%. That ensures that Excadrill kills with Earthquake. I don't have to predict around Iron Head. That makes sure that Alakazam can actually kill with the Psyshock. Aerodactyl kills with an Ice Fang. I don't have to risk the Stone Edge miss. I can kill it with a +1 Scald from Manaphy. I can kill it with Bullet Punch from Hariyama. Even if Tangrowth is not alive a super long time, it's still going to be very important that I get that damage off that I need to. We have Giga Drain for the stab, as well as hitting his Quagsire 4 times effective, knocking it out. I can hit Garchomp relatively hard. Knockoff, this is so that I can knock off the chances of Violite, as well as it's knocking off any other item he decides to use. Like if he decides to switch into Roserade, I'll be able to knock off that thing's item, which will be very important. Poison Jab, like I said, for the Gardevoir, and Rock Slide. Rock Slide is just so that I can hit the Mandibuzz and the Rotom Heat. It's not going to do a lot of damage to Mandibuzz at all, but if I can weaken it a little bit, like suppose I knock off its leftovers and then weaken a little bit, it'll be forced to roost, and as soon as it roosts, I can switch into something like Hariyama and threaten it immediately. I can also potentially knock off a Hitmonchan's Assault Vest, things like that. So this is, well, that doesn't get hit by Rock Slide, but this is the 4-move coverage I want to run. I was thinking about going Power Whip, just because I would be able to go all physical, but then I'll hit the Garchomp harder, then I'll hit the Quagsire harder, so Giga Drain is a little bit of a better option, I think, as well as for the obvious recovery. Also, even though I'm not running physical defense, I am not 2-hit KO'd by Gardevoir's Psyshock, so there's that. Tangrowth, again, the only kind of switch-in I have to that Gardevoir. If he's timid, I can take 2 definitely. If not, I will likely be able to hit 2. Now, as a lot of you guys know, as I went over in my last video, I explained why I dropped Nidoking for Alakazam, and as you guys can see, we are bringing Alakazam back once again. And Alakazam, I'll show off right here, is running a pretty cool spread. 236 speed, modest life orb, and a little bit in defense. This a little bit in defense is actually in case he decides to bring one of 2 or both things that I'm kind of afraid of. Mega Gardevoir could be running Shadow Sneak, and Rotom Heat could be running Sucker Punch. I know that sounds stupid, but it is a possibility. I'll also be able to take priority hits from Hitmonchan a little bit better. Things like that. So, basically, well, hang on. Before I do that, like I said earlier, his team is extremely slow. His fastest thing is Garchomp, which is base 102. With this spread, I outspeed a Jolly max speed Garchomp unless he is Scarfed. Psyshock, as I'll show off here, Alakazam, UU Life Orb Attacker, modest Psyshock. Psyshock has a good chance to 2-hit KO. And that's if, I'm sure he'll be running a little bit of HP, but I can 2-hit KO his Gardevoir without Stealth Rocks up. That's awesome. He can hit me and kill me with the Hyper Voice, but that's not what we're focusing on now, is it? Dazzling Gleam, it does a very good chunk to Garchomp, as I will show you guys in a second here. Suppose he's Tank Chomp, fully physically defensive. Life Orb Dazzling Gleam will do that much damage. If he is not running all that much HP, then it will do even more, and I can even potentially OHKO him after Stealth Rocks. Energy Ball just one-shots the Quagsire, and then I don't need any other coverage. I was thinking about running Encore to potentially lock something like Mandibuzz into Defogger, like Quagsire and Recover, but there's no real point because I can just hit them very hard with my coverage moves anyway. So I'm actually running Knockoff. That way I can potentially knock off the chances of Violite. Also, I'll be able to knock off the Garchomp without taking rough skin damage because of Magic Guard. But here, as I will show you guys in a minute, Chansey, OU the Blob, fully physically defensive. A Psyshock only does 35 to 42%, but without the Violite, it will be to a KO'd very easily. So, another big plan of mine is if I can knock off the Chanseys of Violite the first time, I can just spam Psyshock. Nothing wants to switch in on it at all. Mega Gardevoir is to a KO'd. Mandibuzz is hit very hard by a Dazzling Gleam. If he's fully specially defensive, I will still be able to a KO it. Rotom Heat does not want to switch in on a Psyshock. Roserade is dead. Garchomp is hit very hard by the Dazzling Gleam. Like I've said, Hitmonchan dies. Quagsire goes down to Energy Ball. And I outspeed everything on his team bar Scarfers. I do massive damage to pretty much everything. One kind of issue would be not even an issue. Scarf Rotom Heat is something I definitely see him bringing because he'll be able to outspeed my Mega Aerodactyl, but even then it cannot knock Alakazam out even with a modest overheat. So Alakazam is a huge offensive threat to his team. He does not have a safe switch into it. He just simply does not. Pretty much, the reason earlier on I said I feel like I have a good matchup is because my offensive threats completely destroy him. Manaphy is a safe switch into his defensive threats, like Mandibuzz, Chansey, things like that. If he's like a sub-Salic Garchomp, then that may be an issue, but again, I do have Tank Growth to pick it off. A Fire Blast will be doing nothing, an Outrage will be doing nothing. Mega Aerodactyl outspeeds his entire team. It's just a huge, not a huge, but I feel like I have the team preview edge over him. Now, that does not mean I think I'm automatically going to win. I still have to play well. I cannot sack the important things on my team. If he still has his Chansey, his Mandibuzz around, I cannot let my Manaphy go. That Roserade is going to be a major issue to switch into, because the only thing I kind of have is the Hariyama. Granted, if he poisons me with Sludge Bomb, that'd be cool, but again, I have to wear his team down. I have to get rid of a few things before my win conditions start to do their work. So, I have to play around that. How long have we been going for? 17 minutes. I'm going to wrap up the team builder there. I think I went over all my thoughts pretty well. So, thank you guys for watching, and please check out the match if you guys are interested. That'll be up the day after this is uploaded, and have a nice day.